Are you ready to take a journey into a world of danger and mystery? Have you ever wondered what it was like to be a bounty hunter? Well, get ready to find out. Hello and welcome to Pure History. In this video, we will be exploring the untold dangers of a Wild West bounty hunter. We will be discussing the importance of preparing for danger, the risk to life and limb, and the ethical considerations of the job. So saddle up and let's get started. 1. Lawman Pat Garrett. Pat Garrett, the legendary cowboy as well as rancher and lawman, is perhaps most famous for the killing of the infamous outlaw Billy the Kid. He was born on June 5, 1850 in Chambers County, Alabama. He was the son of John Garrett and Elizabeth. When Pat was just 3 years old, his father bought a plantation in Claiborne Parish, Louisiana. That is where he grew up. Garrett, the cowboy with a dark past. At 19, Garrett, a tall and slim dude with sharp cheekbones, decided to take a leap of faith and leave Louisiana for the Lone Star State, Dallas County, Texas. As cattle rustling ran rampant in West Texas, he got himself a job as a cowpoke and sharpshooter at the LS Ranch. He then became a buffalo hunter alongside W. Skelton Glenn, but he quickly found himself at odds with another hunter over a few hides. When Garrett drew his gun on Pat, Pat killed his attacker by shooting him in the head. Pat Garrett vs. Billy the Kid. When the Lincoln County War began to fizzle out in 1878, Billy the Kid decided to up sticks and move to Fort Sumner, New Mexico. The southeastern corner of the state became a hotbed of chaos and disorder over the next 20 years or so, fueled by competing gangs that roamed the area. William Bonney, also known as Billy the Kid, and Pat Garrett often gambled together at the bar where they first met. Garrett was named sheriff of Lincoln County on November 7, 1880. Whether or not they were already friends, he made a solemn oath to capture Billy the Kid and put an end to the reign of anarchy. Governor Wallace raised Billy's reward to $500 on December 15, 1880. Then Pat Garrett went out on a mad hunt for the bandit right away. Garrett tried to catch the kid by setting up tricks and traps, but Billy the Kid had an uncanny ability to sense danger, like a wild animal that can tell when a threat is coming. It wasn't meant to be, though. On December 19, 1880, Billy and his accomplices showed up in Fort Sumner, New Mexico. Garrett was ready and waiting for them. Unfortunately for Tom O'Folliard, Garrett killed him, but the gang could flee. Garrett worked hard to catch the outlaws, and they finally found them in Stinking Springs. After a few days of siege, the posse caught some well-known outlaws on December 23, 1880. They were Billy the Kid, Tom Pickett, Dirty Dave Rudabaugh, and Billy Wilson. The search for Billy ended with his trial in Lincoln, New Mexico, where he was found guilty and sentenced to death by hanging. But in April 1881, the young outlaw made a daring escape by slaying 2 guards. Garrett shot Billy twice, and the first bullet went through his heart. Garrett went to Peter Maxwell's property on July 14, 1881. His motive was to start looking for Billy the Kid again. Garrett and Maxwell were sitting in the dimness of Peter's old Fort Sumner bedroom when Billy came in. Because of the dim lighting, Billy couldn't see Garrett. Garrett shot him twice, the first bullet going through Billy's heart. The following day, Billy was laid to rest in the cemetery at Fort Sumner, between the graves of Charles Beaudry and Tom Folliard. 2. Tom Tobin. Thomas "Tom" Tate Tobin became famous as the bounty hunter who killed the notorious Espinosa brothers on his own. More than 30 white settlers in Colorado and New Mexico died because of what the Espinosa brothers did. Tobin was hired after multiple possessions and army troops failed to find and kill the men. Tobin was known for being good at scouting and tracking. Tobin wasn't just a good tracker or bounty hunter, he also had a lot of other things. Tobin's parents, Bartholomew and Sarah Ottobees Tobin, had their first child in 1823. The legendary frontiersman, Charles Ottoby, was his half-brother. Tobin, then just 14 years old, set out from St. Louis in 1837 with Ottobees and Seren St. Vern to bring supplies to Simon Turley's whiskey distillery at Arroyo Hondo, New Mexico, along the Santa Fe Trail. Tobin worked at Turley's distillery from 1837 to 1847. He also worked as a trapper, scout for the Army, and farmer during that time. He also made multiple excursions down to Taos and Santa Fe trails for Turley and the Bent St. Vrain Company. Belonged to the same social circles as the Bents, Kit Carson and Wild Bill Hickok. Tobin was an employee at Turley's distillery in 1847 when the Pueblo Indian Revolt broke out. Tobin was one of only 2 men who made it out of the mill alive when it was assaulted. Upon their arrival in Taos, he and his brother Charles immediately joined the militia led by Seren St. Vrain, and together they put down the insurgents. In the same year, he and his wife, Pascula, started farming along the San Carlos River, close to the town of El Pueblo in southeastern Colorado. His produce was purchased by Lieutenant Colonel William Gilpin's troops stationed in the area around Bent's Ford. Tobin died in 1904 after working as a farmer, rancher, and sometimes as an army guide and scout. On the frontier, people said that his skills and knowledge were equal to or even better than those of Kit Carson. In 1888, his strange relationship with the Carsons took a turn for the worse when Billy Carson, Kit's son and the husband of Tobin's daughter Pascaluda, shot and stabbed him. After Carson brutally assaulted Pascaluda, Tobin challenged him, and the two got into a fight in which Carson wound up beating and shooting the elderly man. Tobin survived a severe injury that should have ended his life at age 16. Carson fatally shot himself in the leg and later died of lockjaw in 1889. Tobin spent his last years on his ranch outside of Fort Garland, Colorado, living close to the poverty line while he tried to get pensions and old government bills for services he did, like killing the Espinosa brothers. Actually, hardly much money was ever collected. On May 15, 1904, he passed away. He was laid to rest close to Fort Garland. 3. John Wesley Hardin. One of the most brutal and ruthless outlaws in the Wild West was John Wesley Hardin. In addition to being a racist, sexist, bigot, and narcissist, he also lied about everything. The one thing that best described him was that he was a heartless murderer. Texas, that lone star of a state known worldwide for its lawbreakers, this state has earned its infamous reputation. It's hard not to think of the renowned cowboy gang that settled in Arizona and governed Tombstone until the famous shooting at the OK Corral, or of Bonney and Clyde, Ray and Floyd Hamilton, or Tex Lucas. But before them all, there was a man named John Wesley Hardin, and he was the most feared and celebrated criminal Texas has ever seen. Hardin said he killed more than 40 guys. At least 27 of those killings were reportedly attributable to him in press accounts. On May 26, 1853, in the hamlet of Bonney, Texas, Hardin was born to John Gip Hardin, a Methodist circuit preacher, and Mary Elizabeth Dixon. Ironically, given his life and reputation, Hardin was named after the founder of the Methodist faith, John Wesley. Hardin's ancestor was Colonel Joseph Hardin, who played a big role in the Revolutionary War. In the end, the Hardins moved to Sumter, where John Wesley Hardin went to the school that his father had started. There, the young Hardin's liking for outlaws, willingness to fight, and short temper got him into his first big trouble. John Wesley Hardin was a wanted outlaw, and they needed an undercover operative to help them track him down. If Duncan had considered to help the Rangers infiltrate Hardin's company, the Rangers would have to split the prize money of $4,000. Duncan made up a fake name and moved to Gonzales County, Texas, where he worked as a handyman and laborer under the name Williams. He was trying to find Hardin. The way things went down was a lot like the plot of the movie Donnie Brasco. People lied about who they were and betrayed each other. Duncan made a point of pledging his fealty to Hardin's inner circle, even making friends with Neil Bowen, the outlaw's father-in-law. After a while, Bowen started housing Duncan Williams at his home. Duncan concealed his identity by going to great lengths. To add credibility to his cover story, he had the Texas Rangers arrest him. After Duncan persuaded Bowen to tell him where Hardin was, the Rangers were able to catch him on a train going to Florida. Duncan quit the Texas Rangers after only 4 months when he got his reward. He went to Dallas to work as a private investigator and bounty hunter. That was today's video. We have more interesting videos for you.